You don't mind if I pick on you for a little bit, do you? Now, Naomi has raised her hand and said that she needs a man, but notice, folks, that even the one woman who will acknowledge a dependency on men raised her hand like this. You would think that for the response, I was asking, like, raise your hand if you have a venereal disease. Rabbi, yes, I have this disease. It's called a man. I have no idea how I got it. I don't know how to get rid of it either. Now, let me follow up in demonstrating this point of the female wretchedness about men. Let me follow up with another question. Again, just for the women. Raise your hand if you need a refrigerator. Now, why is it that women will raise their hand for a refrigerator? Because GE brings good things to life, right? Because refrigerators are actually reliable. Because they conk out only occasionally. Now, I'm not going to try the reverse experiment of asking the men to raise their hand if they need a woman. Because for men, when you ask them that question, what they hear is, raise your hand if you want sex this instant. That's not what we're asking. Whatever happened to the archetype of the woman who loved, who was in love with love, who aspired to be married and happy, who was a romantic at heart? Where did we create such a cynical generation of women who are so fed up with men? You know, today, on, if you saw the Today Show, so Tracy Grimshaw, with whom I have this long relationship, I've known her for really like 6-7 years, and I find her a very graceful woman, unique in television. And she said to me, Shmuley, your point about hating women, and I'm going to get into some of the points, I don't know if I agree. Not all women are cynical about men. Look at shows like Sex in the City. I said, Sex in the City? Sex in the City is a show about, and this is one of the new archetypes of women who are fed up with men, it's a show about platonic lesbians. It's a show about 4 women who have sex with men, but never have any emotional intimacy with men. For all intents and purposes, they're married to each other. That's why the show is funny. It's funny how they can't find any guy who's good enough. They date men in order to complain about them the next morning over a Hoka Mochaccino, which at a place like Starbucks, you sort of have to sell a kidney to afford. And the whole purpose of the show is they date in order to complain. You won't believe the creep I met last night. And indeed, the rise of the platonic lesbian is a fascinating development. Women who, of course, are still attracted to men, but develop a real sense of intimacy. It's almost like they're having affairs with their female friends. I see this in New York all the time. I see married women who rarely ever share the contents of their heart with their husbands. They do that with their girlfriends. They share a functional relationship with their husbands. They'll talk about the most functional things, like, who's going to go to the dry cleaner, who's going to pick up the milk. But in terms of talking about life, they share that with girlfriends. And we're seeing that develop more and more, such that so many marriages today are becoming only functional, and they're missing the deep, intimate aspect. Which brings us to the show Desperate Housewives. Which I have to confess, I've never once seen. So how the heck do I give a lecture with a subject Desperate Housewives that I've never once seen as a show? Simple. Simple. I know one thing about the show. I know it's about dysfunctional marriages and dysfunctional relationships, because you can search all of American TV and you will not find one happy marriage. In every American sitcom and every American drama, if the guy is single, he is sexy, he is suave, he's James Bond, he's shooting people, he's driving $1 million cars. If he's married on television, he's fat, he's bald, he smells. And let's face it, 10 years ago there never would have been a show called Desperate Housewives. It couldn't have worked. But because this feeling of desperation exists, that's why this show has created such incredible impact in so many different countries. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know why women are so unhappy today? You know, Sigmund Freud, who would rank on anyone's list of one of the 10 most influential thinkers of all time, wrote in 1938 that he had spent his entire life trying to answer a simple question, and he confessed that he had failed. Do you know what that question was? Freud wrote, "I simply tried to understand what is it that women want." And he said that he couldn't answer the question. One of the smartest men that ever lived could not simply answer what women want. Indeed, Freud so misunderstood women that till today he's hated by feminists, because feminists believe that Freud denied them an intrinsic identity. He denied them, what he essentially said was that a woman was a castrated male. A woman lacked the aggressive, strong, masculine qualities of a man. And a woman had things like, and we're in a shul, so I have to be careful about my use of language, but this is a professional psychological term. Women had things like penis envy, and they just always wanted what men had, what they couldn't have. What a shallow man, unfortunately. Great man, but unbelievably shallow. Do you know what it is that a woman wants? A woman wants to be the Shabbos. A woman wants to be the Shabbos bride. Do you know what the Shabbos is? It only comes once a week. But when it comes, we stop everything to honor it. A woman wants to have a man in her life who she understands men have to work, support their families, men are ambitious. But the time comes when he stops all of the urgent things and honors and pays homage to that which is really important. Every woman wants to be the sun around whom there is a planet that revolves, that basks in her light. A satellite that orbits, that truly appreciates the special gift that she has to offer. What a woman needs is to become a need. A woman needs to be needed, wants to be wanted, desires to be desired. And men cannot give them that gift today. Indeed, one of the biggest problems in the history of marriage and relationships is that the female need for attention has never been matched by the male attention span. Men are so profoundly distracted. A man takes his own wife out to dinner, and as they're sitting at dinner, his head is a walking radar tower, homing in and focusing on every pair of legs that walks by. And the wife can't understand this. Why is it that I'm able to focus but you can't? Do you know, I wrote a book called Kosher for Adultery. There's fascinating statistics about male and female infidelity. No matter how much, and again, I have not seen Desperate Housewives, but I know it's about a lot of some of the wives are unfaithful. But let me tell you, and I don't know if it's an authentic depiction there, given that I haven't seen the series. Do you know that 87% of men who cheat on their wives claim to love their wives? And the reason they cheat, 87% claim to love their wives. So why do they cheat? They're bored.